भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ऋकारस्पन्दकारश्च ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुस्तुतिः ब्रह्मानन्दम् परमसुखदम्
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। First Mundaka, mantra number 6. Mantra number 5, if we recall, just to give a short recap because there has been a little bit of a gap since the last since our last meeting. So just to recap, mantra number 5 talked about the two kinds of knowledge, apara and para. Apara vidya has to do with one's own with the subject matter that forms the first portion of the Vedas, full of injunctions, prohibitions, full of how to lead this life in order to fulfill one's desires. This is what the first portion of the Veda has. And so Aparavidya is all that, and including the words of the Upanishad, which are just words, heap of words. And then what is Paravidya? If everything is taken away in Aparavidya, what is Paravidya? Paravidya is that which converts the words of the Upanishad into a live transmission of knowledge thanks to the handling of the pramana in the form of the or by the Guru, who transmits this knowledge in the form of a vritti. A vritti is a thought pattern. So the thought that the message of the Upanishad conveyed in the form of is received in the form of a thought, akhandakara vritti, the message of oneness, and then that the way it sits and it immediately dispenses with ignorance, displaces ignorance, that is Paravidya. Yaya aksharam adhigamyate, it was said. Then, now the Upanishad, the rest of the sections, the rest of the mantras in this particular section, of which there are 9, so 6, 7, 8 and 9, are going to delineate what is the subject matter of this para. The subject matter of this vidya must be important to understand. So then it's not enough to say, oh, that which happens in the head when you listen to this knowledge, etc. And that's okay. But if nothing happens in the head, what to do? There is something more that I want to understand. So the upcoming verses are basically the definition of Bhagavan, because the subject matter of Paravidya is nothing other than Bhagavan. It cannot be anything other than that. And since this Bhagavan is seen as outside of oneself and as a guy in the sky, according to most theologies, some guy sitting in the sky or some heaven, and as soon as you say the word Bhagavan, the eyes fly upwards, and and then there is this feeling that God made the world but sitting somewhere, and we have our favorite locations. If you look at Western theologies, they are convinced Bhagavan is sitting in a place called heaven, and that heaven is out of bounds for you unless you have been good, unless you have been saved, unless you are dead. Only then you can go to this place called heaven and sit in front of Bhagavan. And not to be outdone, we have our own versions of this kind of a theology. And so we have favorite places where our own understanding of Bhagavan is available. Where is that? Vaikuntha comes to mind. Vaikuntha means what? The abode of Lord Vishnu. And we have an idyllic picture. Lord Vishnu resting on the original coiled mattress. And that's how they've learned how to make mattresses, after seeing this original coiled mattress in the form of Adishesha, Shakti, goddess, that is. And so he is resting, and he's not really resting because Bhagavan cannot really rest and need not rest, but it's metaphorical. Shayane sarvam bibharti. Lying down, he takes care of the whole universe. No stress, and no BP machine is required because BP doesn't go up with any kind of internalized stress. So that is, and in Vaikuntha, we have this idyllic picture with Goddess Lakshmi pressing his feet. So this is one thing. And then on the other side, we have Kailasa. And here is a icy mountain, and the cool Lord Shiva, cool headed and cool, in the sense of the knowledge is cool because it takes away the heat of samsara. And then he is sitting there presiding over this mountain with goddess Parvati, Uma. And so and people are convinced. And so people who follow Shiva say, okay, after death, we are going to Kailasa. And then people who follow Vishnu, Vaishnavites, if you want to call them, they will say that I am going to Vaikuntha. This is and Brahma, of course, because is not worshipped. They say it's because of some curse, but it's not because of a curse. Brahma is rarely worshipped. If you want really to visit Brahmaji, then you have to go to Thailand, where he is there at every crossing. When there is a big crossroads are there, then there is a small little shrine in the middle of Lord Brahmaji. So it's not that there is a curse or anything. That's not why he is not worshipped. He's not worshipped because he has begun the creation. And the creation is fraught with all this strife and everything. And so that is why the association of Brahmaji with beginning of creation, which we internalize as samsara, that is why it is not worshipped. Because we don't want samsara to continue. So if you want to go have a look at what Brahmaji looks like, you'll have to go to Rajasthan, Pushkar. There is a shrine, there is a temple dedicated to Lord Brahmaji, very rare place. And somehow there must have been some loophole in that curse. And then of course, in Thailand, they worship. And when I was there, I asked them, why do you worship? Because they said, when he is there presiding over these difficult crossings in busy roads, etc., he will not allow death or accidents to take place, because he wants the world to continue. So very interesting reasoning. And anyhow, so these two are Bhagavan. And so this is the rampant public, the collective imagination around this, has in a way affected how we think about Bhagavan as separate from oneself, as out of reach, as some person who is there, who is in charge of the whole universe, but not locally available. And somehow you have to do good karma, you have to do upasana, you have to do this, that, and then maybe if you are good enough, you will be able to greet him somewhere. And so now this is a problematic situation, because again it is rife with duality. And the Upanishad is in the business of non-duality, no duality there at all. So this is a very difficult duality to bridge, because there are so many differences. Bhagavan is the cause of the universe, and I am a product of the universe. This is how people think. So there is no comparison there at all. One is the overlord. Bhagavan is then, and it's anybody's guess who that is. It's not me. It's Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the overlord, and I'm what? I'm the underling. I'm the underling. Bhagavan is the author of the laws of the universe, and I come under the clause of the universe. CLAWS. Okay, so these laws become clause for me. You just have to put a C in front of the laws, and then you get the drift. So I'm in the clutches of these laws of the universe. And then that is the thing. Bhagavan infinite, me, the I that I think myself to be, totally finite. And Bhagavan Nirvikara. Nirvikara means free from all modifications, exactly unchanging. And me, of course, I'm changing all the time. Mind is changing, body is changing, senses are changing, everything is changing every day. And the mind is changing second by second. And so the chasm between the I and Bhagavan is so huge that it is very difficult to bridge. And this is mostly because one does not understand what is this Bhagavan. So, in keeping with the ajnanam, the collective imagination, the visualization of what Bhagavan is therefore equally ignorant, because it comes from, it arises from the ignorance. Ignorance causes fear, and so therefore we have in the Sri Rudram, oh, don't put your arrows against me. I feel like you're directing the arrows against me. Arrows is what? My own karma phala. But over here, this fellow has not been following dharma either. Why don't you go over there? Sri Rudram literally says that. Bend your bow somewhere else. Direct it towards someone else. Spare me. So this fear and this sense of non-belonging and this sense of this unbridgeable difference is the cause of sorrow, is the cause of pain. And so after delineating what this Paravidya is, now the subject matter of the Paravidya is going to be taken up starting verse 6 onwards. So, sixth verse. यत्तदद्रेश्यमग्राह्यमगोत्रमवर्णमचक्षुश्रोत्रं तदपाणिपादं नित्यं विभुं सर्वगतं सुसूक्ष्मं तदव्ययं यद्भूतयोनिं परिपश्यन्ति धीराः. It's a mouthful, but it does something. It sets the head correctly. It sets the head back where it belongs, because the head was totally derailed from its understanding, and reproducing the duality, the very duality that one wants to overcome, transcend. So here, the understanding of Bhagavan is completely opposite to the that of the popular imagination, whether it's Hindu imagination or otherwise, doesn't matter. There is a very different kind of a Bhagavan that is presented. Yeah, so yat tat means that which is what? Adreshyam. Adrishyam. So this is Chandasam, Adreshyam. Adreshyam means that which is not visible. Which is not visible. That which is not visible. Well, it is what it is not visible means it is not available for any of the means of perception. It is not visible. It is not, you can't see Bhagavan. Why? Because you can just be Bhagavan, you cannot see Bhagavan. It is not an object of sight. This is very important. It's not an object of sight, because if it were an object of sight, like every other object of sight, Bhagavan would also be finite. And if Bhagavan is finite, then there is no possibility of freedom from finitude. So therefore, it is not an object of sight. So the very pleasing, various Ishta Devatas, Lord in the form of so many, so many things come to mind. And what is that? Ishta Devatas in the form of, 20-armed goddess, Kali, and who else, like Durga, Kali, all this. 20 arms, and then sometimes many faces, 4 faces for Lord Brahmaji, 5 faces for Lord Shiva, so many faces, 6 faces for Lord Subramanya. And and then so Ganesha, 4 arms, big belly, happy looking face, elephant face. All these, have all these are just swept away, because those are just, murtis. Those are just part of the iconography. And to have a place and a story, to fix the mind, to develop some kind of a relationship, when the only relationship is one, that of identity. But still, in the beginning, that is not easily conveyable. For example, to a child growing in the tradition. And so the child growing in the tradition is taught all these Ganesha songs. And it is told, this is you have 4 arms, you have a big belly, and you have flapping ears, and the children enact that also very cutely. And this is appropriate, because how else is one going to relate to that which is not visible at all? And this one gets away with this concept of Ishtadevata precisely because everything that is there is Bhagavan, including your visualization, including the obstacles, and including the conceptualization of Lord Ganesha, who is seen as Bhagavan, equipped with the power to not only make obstacles but remove them as well. Vignakarta, Vignaharta, both at the same time. And so this is permitted because everything is Bhagavan. That's why that's why the people who came up with in the West, who came up with the concept of pet rock and then made a lot of money. And that for us, we have had a pet rock for a long time. That is our Shivalinga. That's the pet rock. Saligrama, another pet rock. We have worry pebble, pet rock, all this. Worry pebble means what is this? Panchayatana puja. All these, we have 5 pebbles, and then, and each one is loaded with this is all adhyasa. This is all a kind of a superimposition, really. Each one is loaded with the power and with the Shakti, with the knowledge that is Bhagavan. And so how can you do that? How can you have the audacity to see Bhagavan, to say this pebble is Bhagavan? Because everything is Bhagavan. The pebble is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not the pebble. Pebble is definitely Bhagavan. So that's how we have the Vedas have the unique, a very sophisticated understanding of Ishvara, through which has a certain sense of immediacy of connection, and a bhakti filled mind that can access this connection immediately and intimately. And so this is something which is accomplished through these through this adhyasa, through a projection, a deliberate projection, a deliberate loading of all the things that is described as Bhagavan onto a murti, an icon, onto a form, onto a rock, onto a mountain, onto a tree, a pebble, anything. And so this is possible because everything is Bhagavan, and that that vision supersedes, overrides every other thing that is there. So if everything is Bhagavan, I can invoke Bhagavan in anything, in whatever form or function I desire, I please. And this has the advantage. The Ishta Devata has no translation. They say personal God. It's not about personal. It's about relating to a form and a name where I find a certain attraction and a comfort. Just like a brand of soap that you use. This is exactly, you have your Ishta soap and you have your Ishta Devata. This is exactly how it works. Now, having accomplished this much, this is just a what should we say? This is a means. This is a means because everything is seen as separate from me, starting with Bhagavan, seen as extremely away from me. So this is a way to make Bhagavan more personable, and to forge a connection where it would be very difficult to have any such connection, nearly impossible, because adrishyam, not available for sight. And so therefore this accomplishes a very big thing, but then it is not the end. This is just the beginning. And so you relate to a photograph, you relate to an icon, you relate to a stone, you relate to a tree, whatever it is, as Bhagavan. And then what happens? One gets stuck there. And then that's why there are age-old fights. My Bhagavan, not yours. and and so this is to a certain extent mitigated in North America by having temples that are called Shiva Vishnu temple or Vishnu Shiva temple, so that there is there is everything, whatever kind of Bhagavan, there is a gallery of Bhagavan. And so whatever is your favorite form, you can stand in front of that shrine. You can only make donations towards that particular, to the upliftment of that particular deity and the puja of that particular deity, and that is possible. And even then there are fights that erupt between the trustees. Why should it be called Shiva Vishnu temple? It should be called Vishnu Shiva temple. No, we are going alphabetically. No, ha. Alphabetically, that means you are getting your upper hand, like this. And then there is also a difficult argument between whether the murtis should look North Indian style, all marble, shiny, blessing hand, painted, big painted eyes and lipstick and everything, or whether they should look South Indian, black monolith stone, granite, and should they look like this? And then, when the North Indians come to the South Indian temples, they get upset because they say, Bhagavan is not looking at me. Everything is black. And I want the eyes. I want the eyes to be open. I want to make eye contact. And when the South Indian goes to the North Indian temple, Neither. What is this? What is this here? You know, it's fine. It's okay. It just looks like a museum. It doesn't look like a temple. That's what they think. And so this is because one has got stuck in this kind of a relationship. It took a while to forge, but then now it has to be deforged. It has to be unforged somehow. You have to pluck the devotee out of this kind of a thinking. And nothing better can do this than a dose of the Mundakopanishad that sets the sights right and helps one to graduate from this kind of a very, limited understanding of Bhagavan. No, but limited means what? I'm getting whatever I want. Yes, but are you are you addressing the wanter? How long can you keep on striving for to get whatever you want? Are you addressing the wanter of things? That is what the whole idea is. And so this gives a very drastically different blueprint for understanding Bhagavan. And then, so therefore, what? So therefore, here this what is Paravidya is explained with reference to Brahman as the cause of the universe. And so that which adreshyam cannot be perceived, it is invisible beyond the reach of the jnanendriyas, because the vision, is the first one, that is the leader of all the sense organs. And so this is what it is. So you want to see Bhagavan, you cannot, but you want to be Bhagavan, you are welcome. This is the first kind of a shock for the Ishtadevata people who have the idea of Bhagavan as sitting somewhere in heaven, or 4 arms, 8 arms, whatever it is, and no longer you can look at it that way. Then the next word is agrahyam, that which cannot be caught, that which cannot be touched, that which cannot be seized, meaning that which is not available for the organs of actions to play with. So then what? Then all the people who are interested in Abhisheka, so the Abhisheka aficionados, Abhisheka means the ritual bathing of these murtis, which are very, very nice to see. And they have 11 kinds of liquids, dravyas, through which the deities are bathed. It is a sight to behold. It's a sight to behold, for example, Lord Dakshinamurti being just bathed in yogurt. And then you just sort of see how the Shivalinga completely covered in yogurt. Ah, so nice. Or in Vibhuti. And then they will make little eyes and then show how nice it is and everything. It's just wonderful. And so all this, and then, to rub off that and to pour water, it's something which is very tactile. And it is just so wonderful. It's very, very it's very, very connected. It's very just, there is some in this puja ritual, there is a lot of intimacy, because you can have and you can hold and you can touch. And in Atlanta, when we used to do this Pradosha ceremony and Abhisheka, and then after that, after the last one, the Lord would be wrapped in a towel like a baby and passed on from one person to another, who would, especially all the women, they would rock him back and forth and hold, and the men would hold the Shivalinga to the chest. So like this, because that's very healing. And that's healing aside, that's okay. But then you can have that still, no problem. But that is, it's time to graduate. Graduation means cognitively it's time to graduate. And so cognitively here, agrahyam, it is not something that can be seized. It is not something that can be, it's not something that can be touched, that can be caught, that can be imprisoned. Things can be done to it. No, it's not an object for the eyes. It's not an object for the organs of action. And then therefore it is agotram. Gotra means a lineage. Lineage means it's a clan. It's like what is your source? And in the Hindu tradition, we take the source to a particular rishi. Then don't ask what is the source of the rishi, because then you don't look at the source of the rishi, because the answer will come monkey, that's all. So don't go there. Rishi, any kind of the most exalted person in that in that line, we catch hold of that rishi and we say we come from this rishi. Kashyapa, Bharadwaja, and all these kinds of, these are all, these are all gotras. Gotram na vidyate yasya. Meaning it has no family line, no pedigree, no source. Because if it has a source, if Bhagavan has a source, it would be finite. So it has no source. Source means it is anitya. It was not there before, and then it came from a source. Neither it originated from a sourse, nor does it have another source, nor did it start a lineage. No, agotram, no source, meaning it is unconnected. Adi Shankara says it's unconnected with anything, because it has no kind of antecedents to which it can be connected, and no kinds of successors to which it is connected. No source. This is the meaning. It doesn't have. Bhagavan is that which has no beginning. You can't ask the birthday of Bhagavan, even though we celebrate Rama's birthday and Krishna's birthday. These are just excuses for us to have a nice meal. That's all it is. That is, it's nothing to do with Bhagavan is not born. We can celebrate the birthday of an avatara. So when did the avatara take a particular form? That's different. But when we talk about Bhagavan, our understanding of saying many happy returns must go away. In fact, that is what is the growth. This birthday business, that is something that is a nice way to grow. Because, every day you can say, is my birthday ever fresh, ever new. You can wish yourself happy birthday and give yourself a hug in front of the mirror every single day. Because what's the point of having one day? What is the point? And you're just, what is that for, regurgitating samsara. Samsara on the spin cycle, that in a washing machine that has gone bad, and then it is keeping on spinning without stopping. This is what it is. So you are free of birth, you are free of death, and you are Bhagavan, you are non-separate from Bhagavan, and so Bhagavan therefore again is free of birth, free of death, and so therefore agotram, all this comes in just one word, agotram. Avarnam, varna means color, properties of objects, such as, gunas, like big and white, blue, black, yellow, and small, and a particular shape, particular size. Anoho, aniyan, mahato, mahiyan, smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. All these things are called varna, colors. And so which color is Bhagavan? must be red, must be purple, must be black. All these things are just immaterial, because avarna. Bhagavan has no color, no coloration, no guna. Free of all gunas. There is no guna at all, no properties. No properties, no adjectives, are applicable to Bhagavan. Even things like kind, it's an adjective, Bhagavan, applied to Bhagavan. Kind and compassionate, etc. So this is all our projection. This is all our projection. And in fact, that is how we relate, as I said. And in this is what is prescribed in the Dharma Shastra also. Nikrishta vastuni, utkrishta vastu adhyasya pujayet. So, in a lowly thing, in a small thing, like a rock, a pebble, a tree, etc., compared to Bhagavan, everything is lowly. Nikrishta means lowly. In a lowly thing, superimpose that which is the most exalted and then pray. How Saligrame Vishnum Dhyayet. In this little stone, which has an imprint of a shell on it, a chakra or a conch shell on it, which are insignia of Lord Vishnu, please look upon that as Lord Vishnu. So we are used to adjectives. We are hanging on those adjectives. But as the Kenopanishad reminds us, Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Nedam Yadidam Upasate Na Idam Yadidam Upasate. Brahman is not, Bhagavan is not that which people worship. So the people worship something, an altar. That is not Bhagavan. And that's why it's called altar, because it's high time you alter your views of of what the altar really is. You can have an altar of surrender, but the altar of surrender necessarily, even though it may have icons or things on it that you consider sacred, it is meant for transcendence, a gradual transcendence and a gradual withdrawal from dependency towards that altar. This is, this is exactly what is advised. And so therefore the here avarnam means this is the has no properties whatsoever, nothing to talk about. And then what is the next word? Achakshushrootram. So first, adrishyam. Adrishyam means it is not available for my sense organs. Achakshushrotra means, okay, maybe I'm not able to see it, see this Bhagavan, but it is watching me. Not a guy in the sky, now it's an eye in the sky. A big eye, eye shaped. And in fact, when these NASA pictures are there, there is one called God's eye. It looks some gaseous formation which looks at some, nebula, which looks in the shape of an eye. No, it is not watching your every move. Why? Because it doesn't need sense organs in order to know. It is all knowing without the need for sense organs. That is what it is. So you can't, this is the mistake one makes, because one cannot, if you say it doesn't have eyes, achakshushrotam, it doesn't have ears. Oh my God, it must be, like, it can't hear, it cannot see, it cannot do this, very difficult. And so maybe it, maybe it touches the throat and listens, and with the help of the sense of touch. No such thing. Achakshushrootram, meaning it does not have eyes, it does not have ears, but at the same time you can't think that, oh, it is not, it is not present, or it is in some way incapacitated. Because for someone who doesn't have eyes or ears, at the same time, definitely we say that this is some kind of a incapacitation. This is some kind of a disability. This is how it is seen in the world. But here, it neither is the watcher of all your things, it has other things to do. And then, in fact, it has nothing to do. And then it's at the same time not sitting there without being able to watch anything. And this, we can borrow a verse from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3:19, which very beautifully it says, Apanipado javano grihita pashyatya chakshuhu shrinottya karnaha. And then savetti vedyam na tasyasti vetta tamahuragyam purusham mahantam. Very beautiful. Apanipadaha. This will all come later, so I'm just quoting this right now itself. It's a little early, but it's a very important quote. So Achakshushrootram Apanipadam will also come. So here in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Bhagavan is described as Purusha. Sarvam Purayati, that which fills up everything is the Purusha. And what is this Bhagavan? Apanipadaha. doesn't have hands or legs or limbs. And then Javanaha still moves. Without hands and legs, it moves. How can it move without hands and legs? Because it is everywhere at once, all pervasive. Sarvagatatvat Javanaha. And then, even though it has no hands and legs, Grahita. It can hold on to anything it wants to. It can hold on to that. And then Pashyati, it sees. How? Achakshuhu, even though it is without eyes, it sees. Unseeing, it sees because it knows. Seeing here is knowing. It is all knowing without the dependency on the karanas, on the instruments of knowing, like the sense organs, etc. Shrinoti akarnaha. It can hear without ears. How? Because whatever is there, it can understand, it knows without needing the means of knowledge and the five sense organs, organs of action, etc., which would make Bhagavan immediately finite. So, savetti vedyam, whatever there is to know, Bhagavan knows. Nacha tasya asti vetta. Nobody can know it as an object. And that is what tam ahuhu, the sages and the people who know Bhagavan, who are jnanis, call agryam. That which is first. First means which was there even before the universe came into being. Agryam and Mahantam. Mahantam means which is very, very big, huge, Mahat. And so this is basically what it is. And so this is, this very important quotation which directly speaks to this one. And so achakshushrothram. And why doesn't it have these organs? Adi Shankara, commenting on this, says, who knows all and everything, it does not it knows, it is all knowing, but it is not all knowing like the neighborhood gossip, who is also all knowing, knows all the things that are going on in the neighborhood, but with the help of the karanas, with the help of the sense organs. And here, so that is the samsaric way of knowing. In samsara, that's the only way of knowing. You know things in finite, discrete, sequential, consecutive ways. And then, so this is avoided here by saying neither does it have eyes nor does it have ears. So, and then, so therefore, it is neither grasped nor does it grasp. Why? Because it is infinite. If it had limbs, then it would be finite. It would come into, the limbs would start atrophying. If it had hands and legs, it would get arthritis. But that is, Bhagavan is spared of that. Brahman is spared of that. Jagat Karanam Brahma. So it is therefore Nitya. Nitya means Sat, immortal, not subject to birth and not subject to death. Because there are things in this universe that are not subject to birth but are subject to death, like Ajnanam. It is Anadi, all right, not subject to birth, but it is at the same time subject to destruction by Atmajnana. So ignorance, it doesn't have a birthday, but it certainly has a death day. So here it has neither birth nor death. Therefore, Nitya. Nitya also is free of the Shad Vikaras. 6 kinds of modifications are described. Shad Vikaras they are called. Vikara means modifications. And what are they? They are having to do with the birth and death. And then in between birth and death are sandwiched 4 vikaras. And what are they? Surviving birth, jayate, birth, asti, surviving birth, and then growing up, vardhate, blossoming, viparinamate. And then apakshiyate. Apakshiyate starts to decay, starts to become frail. And then finally, vinashyati. Starts to decay and starts to fail, and then finally falls, dies, comes to an end. All the six vikaras here are prohibited by this word nitya for Bhagavan. No birth and therefore no death. No birth, no death. And if birth and death are knocked off, then it cannot grow up, it cannot blossom, it cannot reproduce, it cannot start to decay, it doesn't need a walking stick, etc., etc. That's why if you look, if you know those who are goddess worshippers, they will see the goddess. The goddess is always depicted as permanently 16 years old. Lord Dakshinamurti is also permanently 16 years old, meaning always 16 here is got a symbolism, a complete Purusha, Shodashakala Purusha, having all the components that make up this the complete the completeness, the limitlessness, and so therefore ever young and not subject to any vikaras. This is what it means, nitya. Vibhum means vibhuhu, very nice word. Vibhu. Vibhu means vividham bhavati. Iti vibhuhu. There are like that many words. Vividham bhavati means that which manifests in many ways without undergoing a change, because nitya is already there, remember. So without undergoing any change, it manifests in many, 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 many different ways. It manifests in so many ways, but no change is undergone. And so it is vividham rajate, virat, same thing, viraj virat, and vividham vardhate, vividham bhavati, vibhuhu. Vividham bhavati means it is diversely manifest in the form of all, Brahmadhistamba Paryantam, a favorite expression of Adi Shankara in the commentary. So it is manifest as all, things, starting from Lord the Celestials, starting from Brahmaji, or down to a stamba, means a sthanu, a little piece of, what's it's called, a little, stump of a tree, the everything, or a little rock. Everything is just that alone. So therefore it is vibhu, this diverse manifestation, and and a kind of a diverse manifestation which is swarupa aparityagena rupantarapattihi. Rupa antara apattihi, gaining of many forms, gaining of different forms. How? Swarupa aparityagena, without giving up its own nature, swarupa. It's not that the first thing in creation they had a lot of Brahman and then little more, little less Brahman, little less Brahman, little less Brahman. No, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's all the same because it is Nitya and it is Vibhu. So we are not used to this kind of an abidance at all, because the kind of change and the kind of becoming something else we are used to and we are accustomed to seeing is Swarupa Parityagena Rupantarapattihi, where the milk gives up its nature in order to become yogurt. And you cannot put that in your coffee. So it has already given up its nature. And so with the action of the bacteria, etc. Here, bacteria itself is Bhagavan. And so bacteria cannot act upon Bhagavan. Okay. So Swarupa aparityagena rupantarapattihi. Then what else? Sarvagatam. Sarvagatam, all pervasive. And Adi Shankara, of course, gives the favorite example like space, all pervasive. You can say room space, living room space, kitchen room space, bathroom space, bedroom space, my space, your space. You can say all that. But still, space is space. Space is all pervasive. The space that is there in America is non-separate from the space that is called India. And non-separate from the stomach space when you're hungry, non-separate from the head space when you say I'm spaced out. You see, it is all space. Wherever it be, it is space. So sarvagatam, all pervasive. Susukshman. Susukshman means extremely, really subtle, because it is causeless. If it has a cause, it would be gross. And if it had a cause, it would, you can connect it to the cause and say, okay, this is an effect. It's not an effect. Therefore, it is subtle. And another reason it is not is it's not even available for one sense organ to objectify. How is space objectified? Through the ears, actually, through through the perception of sound, because sound is the mode of objectification associated with space. Then we have another subtle element, vayu, wind, air. So the air element is cognized with two sense organs, little less subtle. And so we have this, what are the two sense organs? Of course, sound. The wind makes a whooshing sound as it goes through the trees, etc. And then also the sense of touch. All you have to do is go like this. You feel whatever you feel is the wind. And then we have fire. Of course, you can touch it. You don't want to. And then you have you can hear it. It crackles. And then there is one more extra sense organ that objectifies fire, which is what? Sight. It is available for sight. Then we come to water, little more gross than fire, because it is objectifiable by four sense organs. The specific sense organ associated with water is taste. And if you say, but water doesn't taste like anything, that is its taste. And then finally, the grossest of them all, earth, is delineated through its special sense organ, the sense of smell. All these other four, do anuvritti. They all come down. They're all there. You can see the earth. You can touch the earth. You can hear the earth. All these things. But the final one, the earth, grossest of them all, is associated with the sense of smell. Gandhavati Prithivi. And so this is how, from the subtlest to the grossest, it is classified because of how many sense organs it takes to be able to objectify. So then here it is subtler than sound. It is subtler than it is subtler than it is subtler than akasha, because there is no sound to make it gross. And then so therefore that's how we have all the gradations of the elements from the subtle to the gross. It's subtler than akasha because it cannot even be objectified through sound. And therefore it is avyaya. Avyaya means not subject to decay, unchanging. Why? Because the decay can happen through different means. The decay of limbs, as in the case of the body, not possible because it is apanipada. It doesn't have limbs. And so the decay consisting of the gradual lessening of the bank account, one's nidhi, one's treasure, meaning something belonging to you gets decayed. And therefore you are sorrowful. Like the king's coffers are being emptied. This is not possible because nothing belongs to it. It is not connected with any possessions at all. And then so it is the self of everything because it has no attribute and it is itself everything. And so therefore that is, and then it cannot decay through external means. It cannot self decay, and so there is no, therefore it is avyaya, unchanging. Yat bhutayonim, that which is this very important word, bhutanam yonihi, bhutayonim. So the source of all created things. And bhuta also includes bhautika. So all creation, bhautika, bhuta means all the elements. And it is that, It is the source of all elements and elementals. And Adi Shankara in the Bhashya gives a local example. Just like he says, visualize the earth. The earth becomes a sustenance for all living things, so many things, so many flora, and so many kinds of life. It is an ecosystem for so many kinds of life, just of all things that are movable and immovable. Just like that, Brahman, Bhagavan is the source for everything. And then how is this understood? You have to become, the verse says you have to become dhira. Dhira means dhihi rati dadati iti dhira. Dhira means the one who is able to have a sound, discriminative thinking, and the one who is able to share that thinking with others, the one who is respected for their impartial, incisive, discriminative, objective thinking. This is dhira. Paripashyanti. Paritaha means they see Bhagavan everywhere. Paritaha everywhere. Paritaha pashyanti. They see Bhagavan everywhere. That's why that's what is the beauty of this tradition. You may have a favorite Bhagavan form to relate to, but you see Bhagavan, you grow to see Bhagavan everywhere. Here a Bhagavan, there a Bhagavan, everywhere is Bhagavan. Rock is Bhagavan, tree is Bhagavan, I am Bhagavan, you are Bhagavan. That is why the greeting that is there, Namaste, Namaste, Namahate. And I say Namaste to you, and I say the same Namaste to Bhagavan. What a culture this is. This is just, mind boggling. I don't have any kind of a special greeting for Bhagavan that I reserve and a special greeting for you. No. The same namaste that I wish you, I greet you, namaha te, and that the same thing I say to Bhagavan. Namaste astu Bhagavan. Oh Bhagavan, namaste unto you. This is what it is. This is the culture, because everything is Bhagavan. You Ishwaraize and Bhagavanize the universe, understanding this mantra, and then it becomes evident as non-separate from you. This is huge, very very important, and so this namaste is a wonderful gesture and an understanding at the same time. The gesture brings in the understanding. Here are two hands coming, close. This namaste has become very popular in the pandemic era because physical distancing, 6 foot, 6 feet, you have to be away from one another. And you can't even nobody sees you smiling because you have N95 on, and so the only thing that is available is namaste. Amazing. In fact, even in the churches in India, in the Catholic churches, there was a circular that was sent during the pandemic. I think we should adopt, because usually they would hug and kiss at the end of the service. But then they sent a very nice circular. I think we should adopt the Indian way of greeting with namaste during the pandemic. And it is fantastic. It is a gesture and simultaneously an understanding. And the gesture is it's better than a handshake. In fact, they say that the handshake in the West evolved to make the other person assured that one is not carrying a gun. So therefore, handshake with a dominant hand. Not a very nice way of greeting. Okay, I'm not about to kill you, and provided you are also not going to shoot me. So that is the origin of the handshake. So here it is just a complete disarming. It's not just the dominant hand and gun and kill, nothing is there. It's a total disarming, because it's like my organs of action are engaged in a gesture that is being made towards you. It is coming from my heart to yours. And then the gesture has some more, very interesting signification. And so you see, the hands are even not alike. The dominant hand is bigger. And then the fingerprints don't match. We have 10 fingers and we have 10 fingerprints. They don't even match with one another. Still, and the fingers all look different. This one is short, that one is fat, and still they all come together. It's not that the differences are, are denied. The differences between you and I, when I say namaste, is not denied. It is acknowledged and transcended. To see and to greet the I in you, that is the same as the I in me. That is the gesture, that is the understanding. And so each time you say namaste to Bhagavan, to anybody else, please understand you are Ishwarizing the universe. You're seeing the universe as just an extension of Bhagavan, and everything is Bhagavan. So these dhiras, the intelligent ones, possessed of discernment, they understand this knowledge, and they understand this akshara, paravidya, and this is as this whole thing. They understand and they revel in this very, very, regularly, all the time, without stopping. They revel in this. So. So here, if we look at the verse, a few other small things I wanted to point out. The first line is the first line and the second line up till avyayam. So adreshyam, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, achakshushrotram, apanipadam, nityam, vibhum, sarvagatam, susukshmam, tad avyayam. This is the Swarupa Lakshana of Bhagavan. Swarupa Lakshana means this is the definition of Bhagavan. Bhagavan's nature, that which is intrinsic to Bhagavan is talked about here. Satyam Jnanam Anantam, unchanging, all pervasive, and limitless, all knowing, and that presence which is there, which is avyaya. This is the up till tad avyayam. It is what is called Swarupa Lakshana. Understanding Bhagavan from the standpoint of that those unchanging words which indicate this Bhagavan, which is the same as the I. But that's the topic for the next class. Then Yat Bhuta Yonim, this one word brings in Tatastha Lakshana, because here we are invoking Brahman not only as its nature but as the cause of the universe. So both the Lakshanas are given and the definition of Bhagavan is complete. The next class is of this particular Upanishad is going to take place. I'll tell you when. It will be on the 26th of July, June, 26th of June. Okay, it will be on the 26th of June, and we will also meet on the 3rd of July, two weeks back to back, so that we can make up for the travel, that I'm going to be going to. Okay, so that it is all, the information is already there on the website, so you please go and refer to the website and to do that. Okay. And Janani, if you can please share the purple flyer, that will be great. Yeah, and here is the flyer for the Vedanta retreat taking place in Sailorsburg. You're welcome to come, and even if you can come for a weekend, you can do that, or you're welcome to come for the whole time. And if you can't come, you can take the retreat online. And so all the texts and the how to access the retreat are given in this flyer. You can open the chat pod and download it. And then here, if Purusha is having no limbs, here's a question, then would you please explain the words in Purusha Sukta? But then, the Purusha Sukta begins with this, with Purusha eva idagum sarvam. The Purusha is everything, everywhere, all the time. The Purusha eva idagum sarvam. And so, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, all the heads are his head. Yeah, it's not having one head. Yeah, all the heads are his head, he is headless. Sahasraksha, thousands of eyes, hundreds of heads, thousands of heads. Sahasrapad, thousands of feet. There are two ways of saying it. You can say Apanipadam, no feet, no hands, or every hand and every foot is yours, O Bhagavan. Same thing. Okay? Yeah, same thing. Yeah, Tanu, I look forward to meeting you. Come. Yeah, wonderful. All the best.
Immediately,
Take
one
care.
thing, can I ask a question about Vibhu that you had mentioned? So
Yeah,
it is like there is a name in Vishnu Sahasranama, Vibhavaha. So that comes
yeah.
from that, right? Vibhu,
That
Vibhu, Vibhavaha,
you
right?
got it. Yeah, you got it. That is what it is. And now we can enjoy the Vishnu Sahasranama also. Prabhu, Vibhu, all these things come there. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you so
ॐ
much.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you. Good morning, good night.